In the vast landscape of West Africa's most populous nation, a new chapter of outrage has unfolded. The U.S. President, Donald Trump, turned the world's attention to Nigeria with one stark claim. They're killing record numbers of Christians. We're not going to allow that to happen. This is more than a political soundbite. It's a challenge, a warning. And if you listen closely, the voices of victims echo between its lines. Let's rewind. On October 31st, 2025, Donald Trump announced that Nigeria was being designated a country of particular concern, a classification reserved for nations accused of severe violations of religious freedom. He posted on social media, "Christianity is facing an existential threat in Nigeria. Thousands of Christians are being killed. Radical Islamists are responsible for this mass slaughter." More than words, he ordered the U.S. military's planning arm to prepare for possible action in Nigeria. He warned of cutting off all U.S. aid if the Nigerian government failed to act. Why such urgency? The backdrop is decades of brutal violence. In Nigeria's Middle Belt and North, farming communities, churches, and worshippers have been under attack by extremist groups, herders turned militants, and networks of armed criminals. Some of these assaults are clearly on Christian-majority villages, churches targeted, families wiped out. For many observers, this pattern raised a critical question. Are these victims being assaulted simply because they are Christian? It's this question that Trump seized, and in doing so, he forced global attention onto a story largely ignored. But Nigeria's government rejected the narrative. Officials quickly responded that yes, their country faces deep insecurity, but that it is not a war on Christians. Asked about the U.S. threats, the Nigerian foreign minister held up constitutional guarantees of religious freedom as evidence. The government emphasized violence affects Muslims and Christians alike. The root causes are diverse, not always religion. Thus, the global outcry over Christian killings becomes layered with dispute. Who is telling the truth? The U.S. president or the Nigerian government? The world now watches. For Nigeria, this is no longer simply a domestic crisis. It has become a diplomatic flashpoint. A major U.S. leader has threatened aid cuts, military action, and tagged Nigeria alongside nations known for religious persecution. For the Christian victims, and for all who live under daily threat of violence, that spotlight could offer hope, or it could spark new conflict. Here's where the True Crime Chronicle takes shape. This isn't about politics alone. It's about real victims, real crimes, and real accountability. Victims who walked into church only to face gunfire. Farmers who tilled the land at dawn, and by dusk were hiding in the bush. Pastors abducted. Lives extinguished. Churches razed. The narrative that thousands of Christians are being killed may or may not capture every nuance, but the violence is unmistakable, the crime real. What does the Trump angle add? 3 things stand out. 1. Amplification. When Trump declared Nigeria a country of particular concern, he broadcast a global alarm. That designation forced media, governments, and NGOs to reconsider what had long been ignored. 2. Accountability. By threatening military action or aid withdrawal, Trump placed stakes on Nigeria's response. It turned what was once local tragedy into international pressure. If the Nigerian government continues to allow the killing of Christians, the USA will immediately stop all aid and assistance, he wrote. 3. Reflection of a broader narrative. Many American faith-based organizations and lawmakers have claimed for years that Nigerian Christians face genocide. Trump's pronouncement embodies that narrative, but also invites scrutiny. Experts note the situation is far more complex, with Muslims also targeted and motives often economic or territorial, not purely religious. For a true crime documentary channel like ours, this story holds deeper layers. It's not just about attacks on Christians. It's about who exploits the horror, who remains unpunished, and how global actors respond. Consider, victims in remote villages cannot call for aid. Local law enforcement arrives too late. Perpetrators vanish in forests. Now imagine an external power stepping in and saying, "We're watching, we're ready to act." That changes the calculus, both for those who fight and those who flee. But there are dangers too. Oversimplifying the story into Christians versus Muslims risks obscuring the crime. Many of the attacks are tied to land disputes, cattle grazing wars, insurgencies. Experts caution that framing Nigeria solely as a place where Christians are killed because they are Christian may mislead and inflame an already fraught situation. So what now? For victims, the hope is an empowering spotlight. For Nigeria, it's a diplomatic and security test. For the world, it's a question. When global attention arrives, does justice follow? Trump's intervention has triggered international media coverage like never before. Nigerian official statements defending sovereignty and contesting the narrative. Hard questions about decade-long violence that often goes unseen. This story remains unfolding. Will Nigeria respond with decisive protective measures, or will the threats escalate? Will global pressure yield real accountability, or fade once the headlines move on? And for the victims, will this moment mark a turning point, or simply another echo in the silence? Trump versus Nigeria is not just a geopolitical saga. It is a crime chronicle of faith under assault, of voices rising from the ashes, and of the question, when the powerful speak, will the killers listen? Thank you for watching. Stay vigilant, because some voices must not be ignored.